Hello and welcome to tonight's program. I am a national economic commentator, Mr. Joshua Hammond. Tonight, we will be discussing the impacts of globalization on Indonesia. I'm happy tonight to be joined by Indonesia's Senior Government Economic Advisor, Mr. Cathal McMahon. Firstly, Cathal, can you explain to us, has Indonesia always been so open to globalization?
No. Indonesia's economy has been reshaped since the 1980s, when it opened itself up to the forces of globalization so that it could keep pace with other Southeast Asian countries. This was after the 1970s oil boom had died down for the country, and they needed a renewable and sustainable foundation for their economy. Foreign investment has provided a source of capital, but it has also created financial and economic volatility within the country.
Interesting. Can you tell us what projects in Indonesia have been as a result of globalization?
The Indonesian government has greatly encouraged foreign direct investment, or FDIs, into their country in order to make Indonesia a viable economic world entity. The main reason Indonesia is an attractive investment opportunity is due to their large consumer market and large endowment of natural resources. The positives associated with the FDI include providing the country with strong investments for when domestic savings are low, providing links to exports and more employment in production and management, and being used to reform and improve education, health, and infrastructure. FDIs have resulted in Indonesia experiencing a greater level of GDP and an overall higher quality of life for their civilians. However, there are negatives for the FDI. This includes the FDI makes the financial market more volatile and increases rapid fluctuation in exchange rates. It also has a significantly large amount of environmental impact, especially on the natural resource sector, and this may prove to have a long-term negative repercussion for the country. Combined with the reduction of trade barriers and the introduction of transnational corporations or TNCs, foreign direct investment aims to shift the Indonesian economy towards more of an export-led development strategy, similar to many of their neighbors such as Vietnam and Cambodia.
How has globalization, specifically foreign aid and assistance, supported economic development within Indonesia?
It is true that economic development in Indonesia has been supported greatly by foreign aid and assistance. The World Bank alone funds many of Indonesia's projects with a cumulative lending value of $13.4 billion US. The programs target infrastructure, energy, education, health, irrigation, and agriculture. The projects hope to eventually make Indonesia a more self-reliant and economically sustainable country. During 2015 to 2016 financial year, it is believed that Australia will lend Indonesia $323 million in aid alone, providing to the country's economic growth and eventual self-sustainability.
And finally, can you answer us, how has globalization impacted the Indonesian economy?
Since the 1980s, Indonesia has progressively liberalized trade and financial flows. Integration, both on a global and regional scale, delivers sustainable benefits to the Indonesian economy and allows the country to reduce its poverty rates. At the same time, however, inadequately regulated domestic and international capitalism results in the exploitation of workers and the damage to the environment. Such inadequately regulated capitalism, along with Indonesia's strong reliance on international investment, has led to many short-term problems, including volatility, which is associated with higher commodity prices and greater financial inflows. Indonesia's alignment with Asia allows for an ease of global trade with countries such as China and Japan. Export to these countries results in higher economic stimulation in the Indonesian economy, allowing Indonesia to cement itself on the world stage as a viable trading partner for other countries in need of its natural resources and manufacturing items. Globalization has changed the structure of Indonesia's workforce entirely. In the 1980s, 24% of the workforce was agriculture, 34% service, and 42% industry. However, in 2014, it was 14% agriculture, 43% service, and 43% industry. The changes across employment sectors is due to the international demand for the industry goods from Indonesia, as well as an advancement in technology making large number of agricultural workers redundant. Unemployment in Indonesia has decreased because of TNCs, or transnational corporations, entering the market, and they require many people to make their infrastructure and to work for their companies. TNCs in Indonesia include 170 pharmaceutical companies, as well as in the oil sector, Caltex, and Cocoa and Phillips.
I would like to thank Mr. Cathal Economics for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Join in next time where we'll explore the relationship between Indonesia and Japan.